What's going on, everybody? Jordan and I are back. It's Miles of Horror. We're your hosts for today, and we got a great show for you guys. We're talking gateway horror movies. Now, this is a topic that Jordan and I have been wanting to do for a little while now. And, we saw some videos out there of people doing, like, why they got into horror and movies that they loved when they were kids. And it got us thinking about gateway horror movies, right? And the movies that really affected us as kids, the movies that kind of were that gateway for us, right? And helped us really shape our love of horror. Not necessarily the movies that got us into horror, but the movies that kind of shaped the love for the movies that we enjoy the most, you know? So we started thinking about that. We knew we wanted to do a show. So here we are. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy holidays, all that good stuff. Jordan, what's going on, man?
Oh, just eating tons of food this time of year. Trying not to put on another 20 pounds. Good food, though.
Don't even get me started. I went to the gym today the first time in like 3 days, and it was great, but I'm feeling it, man.
Dude, I had at my Thanksgiving I went to today, I had some non-traditional Thanksgiving food, which was amazing for once. So Alyssa's cousins brought smoked brisket empanadas and smoked mac and cheese, which was amazing.
Dude, that sounds bomb.
Yeah, it was so good.
You know what? I think that should be the normal Thanksgiving. Like, we should just scratch turkey out the window.
I know.
Go with brisket and mac and cheese, man. Like, who's gonna say no? Tell me that. Who's gonna say no?
Honestly, I'm more of a ham guy when it comes to Thanksgiving. Like, I choose ham over. I mean, I like turkey, but it just gets. I mean, after going to as many Thanksgivings as I have to go to every year, it gets old.
So. Yeah, in case you guys were curious, Jordan is attending 5 Thanksgivings this year.
Yeah,
so he is like on overload, turkey overload.
I'm ready for it to be done.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, we're back, guys. We got a great show for you. Also, Jordan, Black Friday. Talk to me. I know you were looking at a bunch of stuff. We were talking. Did you pick up anything? You get any goods? What you get?
Yeah, I actually. So I picked up the 88 Films edition of American Pie on 4K. I saw one of the physical media guys posted it. It was I think it was $12 or something, or $18 or something. And yeah, it's back up to $40 now. So I snagged that.
Wait, for that box set?
Yep.
Oh, dude, I wish I knew that. I was eyeing that one too.
Yeah, I saw you posted that. I was like, dang, that's crazy. I clicked on it. And I'm pretty sure it sold really quickly.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, dang, it's back up to full price again. But yeah, that actually just came in the mail today too. So I'm excited about that.
I was eyeing that set too, man. I love American Pie. And
same.
a 4K, I don't need it in 4K, but I do want all the movies on digital. So to get all the movies in one, and it's a cool box. It's a hard box.
It's nice. If I had it by me, I'd show you. I'll send you a picture of it though.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sick, dude. And then of course I gave in to Vinegar Syndrome and Severin's Black Friday sales. So I think I got I picked up a bunch of stuff early at the beginning of the month when they did their early Black Friday pre-sale. I got the 2 mystery titles, which I saw the Keep slipcover already sold out. Did you see that?
Shut up. Are you serious?
I'm dead serious, dude.
Holy shit. I got to look this up. I got to check this right now.
12,000 units.
Oh,
yeah,
dude, I had no idea. This is the first time I'm hearing of it.
It has to be it has to be one of their biggest releases of all time, if not.
Dude, so not only, I'm looking right now, not only did the slipcover sell out, but there's only 541 left of the standard.
Yeah, dude. It's crazy. Yeah, it's nuts, dude. That has to be their most well-received release of all time. I mean, I would think so.
So you said they had 12,000?
Yep.
Yeah, 12,000. That's wild.
Physical media is not dead, baby.
No, it is not, man. 12,000 units in under huge. 48 hours.
Yeah.
And I know this was a heavily vaunted title. I had never seen it. Did you say you've seen it or you haven't?
I haven't, but I heard a lot about it. They talked about it in the In Search of Darkness 80s documentary that I crowdfunded. But the reason why it was so hyped is because the director, Michael Mann, he basically said that he would never release it unless they would give him a director's cut version of it, which doesn't look like they did. So he must have changed his mind about that. So
Yeah, I heard about that. Is it? I thought this was the director's cut. Is it not? Let's see.
nope, they
Wow.
didn't do it. Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I like you. I haven't seen this movie, so people were talking big game about it, and like if they're
Yep.
talking big game about like the theatrical cut, like I'm on board. It doesn't really matter to me because I have
Yeah.
no basis of comparison. I would have liked the director's cut if that was a thing, but I'm just excited for that movie because a lot of people were like very excited for it. It had been talked about for months. There was like a leak out there of
Yep.
the possibility of it coming out, and it dropped. And not only that, but we got Sliver also. And I
Yeah.
have seen Sliver, and it's a great movie. It's
It,
very sexy, very erotic,
yeah.
thriller. It's a cool movie, man.
I watched the trailer and it made me kind of hyped for it, honestly, because I didn't know anything about it. Because I just bought they were selling the 2 mystery titles early at the beginning of the month, and I had some birthday money, so I was like, screw it, I'll just buy them and hope that one of them's to keep at least. And sure enough,
Yeah, I know you and I were talking about whether that was gonna be worth it or not. I think you did good, man.
yeah,
I think you hit it big. I know not it's not always like beneficial to do that, but I think this year was a hit, man. I think both those titles are excellent. I think you definitely got your
oh
money's
yeah,
worth. Um,
for sure, yeah. And I
nice,
ended up
dude.
spending like $250 on Severin too. I think I bought the Church, the Sect, the Spider Labyrinth. I got Blood Moon. That one was like 750. So like I had to snag that. I've never seen that one either, and it was in that 90s documentary. I just got the digital download for. So
Nice, dude. Yeah, I actually
yeah,
have that movie. I haven't watched yet. But
yeah,
sweet, sweet, all good stuff.
yeah,
I hit up the Scream Factory. They did like a decent little sale, nothing crazy. But I mostly just picked up like things that I had been on my list for a while that I wanted. There was a few things that I got on sale. Like I got Poltergeist 2 and I got what else did I get on sale? Poltergeist 2, um a few Scream Factory titles. I got The Faculty, and I got Drag Me to Hell, and I got The
yeah,
Shocker 4K. I got Frankie Frico. Um, so I probably had about 8 titles in my cart. Probably about half of them were on sale.
yeah.
I got Prince of Darkness, which was on sale
Classic.
for $20, 4K. So I
Yeah,
did okay myself, and then I hit up Diabolic for the Demolition Man 4K, which I had to have. Creep 4K or the Creep Umbrella Second Sight, which I had to have, and the Substance. But I think I told you about those already. Yeah,
yeah,
I have a cart right now, a Scream Team releasing, but I think I'm gonna pass.
yeah. I'm probably gonna. I think I might get a couple more Vinegar Syndrome titles before the sale's up. Actually, do you have anything from Cauldron Films, the
I
boutique
oh,
label?
I'm glad you brought that up because I do. I have the Four Houses of Doom. I have the City of the Living Dead 4K, and I really want that new release.
Dude, that box set, like the artwork on it is so sick, dude. It
Yeah.
looks amazing.
I also it's called if for those that are that are unaware, Cauldron Films, they did this Four Houses of Doom box set. It's like a Lucio Fulci, Umberto Lenzi, I believe, mixed bag of films that they did for TV that were never actually released on TV because they were too violent. Um, and so they released it a few months back, and I have it. I haven't watched it yet, but they did another similar box set. They announced it like somewhere in the middle of the night, or it was like 2 in the morning,
Yeah.
and they announced it. It's called Brividi Giallo, and it's 4 films. Pulling it up right now. Take a quick look here. I'll share it with you guys. It's 4 films in the Giallo kind of vein, but I don't know if they're true Giallos. Let me share here. Which kind of has me excited. I think they're more
Yeah.
horror-ish than Giallo. You guys can see right there. So
Yeah.
Brivito Giallo, 4 films by Lamberto Bava, who did Demons, which is one of my favorite Italian horror films of
Yeah,
all time.
dude. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So apparently, like it's same vibe. The music is killer. So yeah, I'm totally gonna get this. I saw this. I didn't pull the trigger yet, but I'm definitely gonna get it.
Yeah, I haven't pre-ordered it yet, but I'm probably gonna get it too. It's so nice looking. It looks sweet, dude. The
Yeah,
artwork's so amazing. It sells itself,
it
honestly,
it
without even
it,
seeing it in movies.
it really does, dude. Did you get the Four Houses of Doom box?
No, I don't have anything from this company. So
So one thing I'll say is they killed it with the packaging, and what I love about their like special editions is that they have like separate cases for all four movies, so it feels like a premium release on each of the movies, you know.
that's awesome. Well, yeah, it looks like this does too.
So anyway, yeah, that's another big drop. For those of you that did not get that, Brivito Giallo, for Lamberto Bava films, guys, and Lamberto Bava directed Demons, among others. So excited for that one. But anyway, let's get into today's topic. Hope you guys had a wonderful Black Friday. Got some good shopping in. And let's get going. So gateway horror movies. Okay, so we went over earlier what a gateway horror movie is. Um, Jordan, do you have like an early memory? Like, what was your first or one of your first like memories of like watching horror or like being really into horror? Because it only goes so far back, right? There's a time when like you
Yeah.
just don't remember. But is there like a certain time like early in your life that you remember like this is when I first got hooked on horror? You know?
Yeah, I mean, it always just goes back to not a movie in particular, but like Goosebumps and Tales from the Crypt. I mean, like watching those shows when I was well, Goosebumps obviously was made for kids, but like watching Tales from the Crypt when I was way too young to be watching it, like catching it on HBO, like late night, staying the night at my aunt's house. It was mesmerizing, dude. Like the animatronic Crypt Keeper is just insane. Like I thought he was a real character because it's so well done.
Yeah. So I know I'm a couple years older, but I mean, the Crypt Keeper himself is just iconic.
Yeah.
And for kids, he's laughable and funny and like comedic. But when you're a kid, like you hear that music and you hear that laugh,
Yeah.
it's terrifying, you know.
Well, yeah, and honestly, like usually the segments that the Crypt Keeper is in, like in the beginning, like I mean, kids could watch that stuff because it's not too violent or anything. But then when you actually get into the meat and the bones of the show, you're like, should I be watching this right now? Like this is like some forbidden fruit that I'm not supposed to be eating.
I think that's
So
exactly it for me. It's the forbidden
yeah,
fruit thing. Like I would put on HBO late at night, and I'd put it on. And you're braver than me. I couldn't even get past the opening. Say I'd put it on and see the Crypt Keeper, and I would like immediately have to like cover my eyes. I mean,
yeah,
I tried to watch it, but it wasn't until later on, like probably like middle school or like even like early in high school that I really started to watch it because
yeah.
I was scared, man. I don't know.
But yeah, like as far as like horror movies, like Bride of Chucky is one that I remember seeing very young. I was born in 95, so I was probably like 5 or 6 years old when I watched that. And that was another one that just like it was so wild. Like it was meant to be comedic, but seeing it as a kid, it was just terrifying. Like even watching it on like Sci-Fi Channel or like whatever it would have played on, like with all the cuts and stuff, it was still terrifying to me.
I saw Bride of Chucky in the theater, and I
I know.
remember vividly
Awesome.
seeing it in the theater, and it was awesome. Like the scene in the like the motel where like the mirror on top crashes
Yeah.
down, and the whole waterbed breaks, and uh, that movie was awesome to see in the
Yeah,
theater for like
dude.
a young kid.
Yeah, and like I got into like the 80s and 70s horror a lot later because like I mean I was born in the late 90s, so like late 90s early 2000s, that's like my era of horror movies. So
So for me, like one of the earliest like actual memories of watching horror, I think this is probably my earliest one. And there's a few different ones that like really resonate in my childhood, like through elementary school, roughly through like 12, 13 years old. But the one I always come back to is like my first real horror memory. And this isn't, in a way, in a lot, again, like there's a lot of gateway horror movies for me. I have a couple that
yeah.
really stand out, but Child's Play is definitely on that list. I didn't that's not one of my choices for today, but it is one of my gateway horror movies. Again, we're on the same page. So like, Child's
100%.
Play, Child's Play. So
Yeah.
my buddy Mike Pond was his name, and he was a really good friend of mine for a long, long time, many years. He had a birthday party. We were in first grade, okay, and we all slept at his house. He's one of my best friends growing up, and there's probably about 8 of us. And we rented a tape and we ordered pizza and we hung out and did all that good stuff. I think we played Manhunt or something. And at night we went to bed and the plan was to watch Child's Play. Oh, I'm getting a thumbs up here. The plan was to watch. Hey, the plan was to watch Child's Play. And when it came down to it, I was like psyching myself out. I was like, okay, you can do this. Like you're gonna watch this again. We're
Yeah.
talking first grade here. And then we get back to their house, and everyone fell asleep. And I was like, we were supposed to watch this movie, and no one's up to watch it. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put the tape in the VCR myself and watch it. And
Yeah.
I swear, true story. And so I put the tape in, and I watched this movie all on my own when I was a little kid. And so that to me was like my first real experience with horror, like remembering like an experience like that where I loved it. And Chucky was an
Yeah.
absolute menace to kids. And
Oh yeah, dude. Well, and like thinking about like gateway horror, I mean, not necessarily like every gateway horror is like this, but a lot of them for me were like movies that were scary, but they weren't like too scary. You know, like Child's Play is one of those movies. I mean, like, yeah, it's freaky that there's like a killer doll, but it's not like super like scary, disgusting, like stuff like that.
yeah, that's fair. For me, that was like Child's Play. For me, was like one of those like terrifying movies. I don't. Maybe I was younger when it came out. So
But
um,
that's the thing though, is like they make it something that's relatable to children, you know, like dolls and like children, like a kid seeing a doll, he's gonna be like, oh, this isn't a horror movie. Like I actually want to watch this, you know? It's the
let's all
same
watch
with
this
like,
together.
yeah, I mean it's the same with like Stephen King's It. Like it's a clown and it's kids like being terrified of this clown. And like it's just stuff that relates back to children. So I think it's easier to watch them when you're young, you know, and you can relate to stuff like that.
It's funny, like it's like I end up seeing Stephen King's It, the new version on like a lot of modern horror lists of like scariest
Yeah,
modern horror lists, and like it's interesting to think about because it didn't feel that scary to me, but I'm not a
yeah,
kid watching it, so like I'm curious
yeah,
how kids react to it, and kind of, in the same vein as I watched Child's Play as a kid,
yeah,
And so, again, like you said, Goosebumps. So I was born in '86. So like doll horror and dummy horror, and that was
yeah,
like very in for my childhood,
yeah,
man.
yep,
So I Living Dummy came out I think in '93. So I was 7 when that came out. Like I was target audience. The Goosebumps target audience is 7 to 12. So I was like right at the start of that target audience, and it terrified me. So like anything with dolls, it terrified me. But
yeah.
anyway, so yeah, that's like my earliest horror memory. So let's do this. Do you have a horror memory that really like stands out? Like I shared that Child's Play story. Do you have something that
Mhm.
not necessarily like your earliest memory, but something that really stands out to you is like this was a moment or one of the moments that like I really started to want to watch more horror, or not whatever the case might be, but it really helped like furthered your horror journey and made you kind of want to watch more.
Yeah, dude. Uh, I always think of like I mean I watched a lot of like TV series and stuff like that when I was a kid, but what really made me want to start watching horror movies was like being at the skating rink, they would play Michael Jackson's Thriller like music video. I think I've told you about this before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They would play the music video to Thriller on the TV, dude, and everyone would just sit down and watch it. And it was just such a cool experience back then. And it was like zombies and stuff, but it wasn't as freaky. But like seeing zombies and stuff, it made me want to watch like more zombie movies and stuff like that. So that's something that really stands out to me. Um, that drove me to want to watch like Dawn of the Dead and Night of the Living Dead and Day of the
Oh yeah.
Dead and all those early zombie movies.
Yeah, I think we talked about this on another show, but like Thriller has to be like in the pantheon of great like traumatizing childhood
Oh
like
yeah, dude.
things of all time.
Yeah.
So anyway, great. I have a couple more questions I want to run by you, but let's get into some of these gateway movies for us. So, we
Yeah.
both I think brought two movies, right, Jordan?
Yep. And actually, one of them is an early memory for me too. So I didn't want to talk about it just yet. But yeah, one of them.
Great. So, if you guys are just tuning in, we're talking gateway horror movies. The movies that got us to love horror, not necessarily the first horror movies we watched, but the movies that really, like, when we watch it, we're like, this is a genre I love. This is a genre I want to watch. I want to see more of. Or maybe it just kind of shaped our love of Halloween and things that were scary. Any
Yep.
reason you could have. So, Jordan, why don't you start us off? Give us your first
Yeah.
gateway horror movie.
So this one I consider a horror movie. Some people might not. This is a kid friendly horror movie. I've watched this with my daughter a few times, but it's Gremlins. 1984. Seeing this movie as a kid, it was so freaky. Watching the stripe or whatever his name was, like getting chopped up in the blender, and it was just disgusting, dude. That they would show that, or like the one that gets like stuffed in the microwave and stuff. It's
Yeah.
just
Yep.
it's wild. I mean, it's scary, honestly, watching this as a kid. But
The other thing about Gremlins is it Spielberg that did Gremlins? Am I wrong on that?
yeah, it's produced by Spielberg.
Produced by Spielberg. So like
Yep.
the thing about Gremlins is like it feels like a magical fun movie. Like
Oh
when
my
it
god.
first starts
Yeah.
out and like they get Gizmo and it's like, oh, this is fun, family
Yeah,
friendly,
it's got
and
the
it
E.T. Spielberg like feel good feeling, you know.
it
And
does.
it's
It's
a
like
Christmas movie
Christmassy.
too. Yeah, I mean it's perfect for this time of year too. But yeah, like there's a lot of freaky stuff in it, dude. Like when all like the when he first feeds Gizmo after midnight, and then all the like hairballs are popping off him and stuff. Like that's freaky, dude. I don't care. I mean, watching that as a kid was just terrifying. And then like watching like all like the slime and stuff from like the bad gremlins when they start like becoming bad and stuff is just crazy.
100%. It freaked
Yeah.
me out as a kid for sure. And isn't there a
Yeah.
scene like after he feeds Gizmo at night or whatever happens? Does he eat the chicken? I don't remember what exactly happens, but like I think it like fades to black, and then like
Yeah.
it opens up in the morning, and like you don't really know what happened. Right? Am I wrong in
Yeah.
that?
Yep. Yep. You're
I haven't
right.
seen it in many years, but I mean that's it's scary. It's like very 90s like
Yeah.
twist like end of the chapter like twist kind of ending. A lot of
Yeah.
foreshadowing. Um, I agree. Gremlins is
Yeah.
definitely a
And
gateway for sure.
dude, like at the very end, I think Stripe's the main one, so I don't think he dies until the end, like the main bad gremlin. But at the very end, dude, he falls in water or they throw water on him or something and it like melts him, dude. And it's just like the effect is so disgusting. It's just like him melting and there's all this like bubbly like flesh and like bone like leaking all over. It was like that. I showed it to my daughter and that freaked her out.
I
She
remember
was
that.
like
Now that you're
covering her
saying it's
eyes.
like the first one is they get unleashed on the town, right? And they go to like the
Yeah.
bars and everything. Yeah,
Yep.
again I haven't seen it in many years, but
Yeah.
yeah, I remember that last scene. He just gets like eroded and like his flesh gets
Yeah.
like melted off.
Yeah. It's like body horror. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
disgusting.
All right, so we got
Yeah.
Gremlins,
Love that
Gateway
one. It's
Horror.
great.
That's a cool addition, dude. Is that a 4K?
Yep.
Sick.
Yep. But yeah, dude, it's perfect. I mean, like I said, this is a good one to show your kids. I mean, to like get them kind of like get a feel for horror for your kids. It's perfect. So it's only rated PG too, but it's still freaky. It's
Dude, that
1984
that is a
PG.
sign of the times right there. Like the fact that that movie is rated PG,
Yeah,
it has the same rating as Garfield's Thanksgiving special. Just so you guys
yeah. I
know.
mean, and the year this came out, I mean, 1984 is quite possibly the greatest year of film of all time. I mean, it's Ghostbusters, Terminator, Nightmare on Elm Street, Dune. Like so many good movies came out that year.
All right, there you have it, guys. Jordan's first gateway horror movie. Excellent pick.
Yeah,
Excellent pick. We have
great.
Gremlins. He had that awesome 4K edition. I don't have that. I actually now that I see it, I should get that. I should grab that.
It's nice, dude. The colors are sweet. It pops. It looks really good too.
Is that like just a Warner Brothers?
Yeah, yep. It's just yep, Warner Brothers. I actually got it at Best Buy before they quit carrying physical media.
Yeah, that's sad. All right, cool. All right, so let me get into my first gateway. We have two each for you guys, And if you've been following my socials, if you're following me on Instagram, you know about this recent addition to my collection. And I did a post on it the other day. But my first gateway horror movie, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart and soul, and that is Troll 2, guys. Okay, Troll 2. I just landed this VHS. I paid $40 for this. It's a little beat up, but this tape goes for stupid money. So to get a copy, and it's a little, kind of faded. It's kind of like more blue on the front than green. But
It looks great.
the back has the more green. But again, for a tape like this, $40. I just was very happy to grab it. And I have the overseas Blu-ray double set of Troll and Troll 2.
Nice. I have the Scream Factory one.
Of Troll or Troll 2?
Troll. I think it's both of them.
Are you serious?
I think so. Yeah.
There's the Scream Factory Troll set?
I'm pretty sure. I'll grab it really fast.
Yeah.
Yep. It's Scream Factory double feature.
Yeah.
Yep.
Damn, I didn't even know that existed. It's even crazier. I'm looking. So I just popped on eBay. I have this overseas edition, so it's not a big deal. I have it.
Uh-huh.
But I'm guessing that's way out of print at this point.
I'm pretty sure that Scream Factory edition's like $60. I think.
Dude, I'm looking online right now. It's $50, $50, $60, $50.
Yep.
Like crazy. But that's awesome. I didn't know there was a that to me, like, so I'll go into my detail in a second. But like I would kill, and I mean kill, for a limited, like, Vinegar Syndrome would be perfect. Any of the boutiques to do like happen. What?
It's gonna happen. They're gonna do a 4K. They will. 100%. They have to.
That would be like such a grail piece for me.
I'll definitely upgrade when that happens.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be a slam dunk. And the artwork would be absolutely bussin'.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Also, if my students heard that I just said bussin', they'd be very proud. Anyway, so yeah, Troll 2 is my first gateway horror movie, and the reason is this. If you've seen this movie, it has been dubbed the best worst movie of all time. There's a great documentary on it, which is honestly fascinating. I love Claudio Fragasso. This is my first experience with him. My first kind of experience with Italian horror. Even though my dad kind of showed me a lot of Italian horror as a kid, a lot of Argento. And so I saw Troll 2 at a very young age. And for me, it was very influential in terms of my dad was showing me stuff all the time. And I watched Suspiria when I was in like probably second grade.
That's
and
awesome.
he'd cover my eyes during like the barbed wire scene and all that stuff. But I was exposed to a lot of horror very early in my life. And Troll 2 was one of those titles, and it's a movie that is kind of like laughed at, and adults can kind of look back and be like, oh, it's the best worst movie, and the effects were terrible, and all this stuff. It was terrifying for me. It was absolutely and utterly frightening for little Robbie Miles. And whether it was the makeup or the trolls or the way the movie was shot, and there's like the transformative horror, like Fragasso does a lot of scenes where like he'll pan the camera on one of the characters and they'll just be looking like nothing was going on, and then he'd pan back to them and they'd be a troll. And there was like mirror horror, and the kids would see stuff in the mirror that wasn't really there. And that, whatever reason, I would see stuff, and it just absolutely frightened me, man. And like the scene with the witch when she's like turning the friend into a plant, and she's like oozing all the greens. I just, for whatever reason, man, this movie, it set me up like to love transformative body horror. It shaped my love of Full Moon, because I think there's a lot of similarities between this movie and a lot of Full Moon stuff.
For sure.
So Troll 2 for me was, and not only that, but like, and I had this in some of my books too, but isolation horror, like kid isolation horror. If you haven't seen it, I'm sorry, but I'm going to give a spoiler right now. Okay. At the end of the movie, like there's a kind of like a twist ending. The kid, they think they defeat the trolls, and they go back to the kid's house, and the kid is the last one standing. Like everyone else has been turned into a troll, and
Yep.
the mom, I think if I remember correctly, like goes to serve him cookies or something, and it has like the green stuff in it, and it starts this whole like escape sequence with just the kid, where the kid is the only one left, and
Yep.
that for whatever reason that was so terrifying for me because like when you're a kid and you feel alone, that's frightening, you know.
Yep. Yep. Losing your parents at the store or something, dude. That's the worst feeling.
So I'm like thinking back now. Maybe I'll watch that tonight. 'Cause I haven't watched it in a little while. But
Yeah.
you know, I know people say the effects are bad and all that, but I love Troll 2 from the bottom of my heart. I think it's a special
It's
movie.
charming for sure.
Anyway, guys, so we are talking gateway horror movies. Jordan and I, hot topic. So we both brought two movies. We got into some of the stuff we liked as kids. Jordan brought Gremlins. That was his first gateway horror movie for him, and I brought Troll 2, which was big for me. And really helped shape my love of horror. So let's go on to our second picks. Jordan, on to you. Gateway horror movies. What do you got?
Yeah, so this next one is like pretty much just like a gateway horror movie into like watching more movies from my favorite subgenre of horror, which is body horror. I love body horror and monster movies and stuff like that. So I picked The Fly, the Jeff Goldblum remake. This movie is amazing. I remember watching this, and then as a kid I had access to the internet, so I just like immediately looked up like more movies that are like this, and then that led me to discovering like more body horror gems like The Stuff and Reanimator and From Beyond, and then it just went down a big rabbit hole from this movie, and this movie's amazing. I'm sure the majority of people watching your channel have seen this.
You know, it's funny. Like killer movie, dude. Like absolutely killer movie. And I like rewatched it for the first time in whatever amount of years. I think when I first started collecting physical media, like I had seen it before, but I hadn't seen it in whatever amount of years. And so I when I first started collecting physical media in around I think like probably around like 2017,
Mm-hmm.
I picked up maybe The Fly at like you know what I think I got that the Scream Factory edition. I don't know.
Yeah, the
I got
box set.
it might have been the Scream box set, whatever it was. I know I
Yep.
have that now, but whatever edition I had, I watched The Fly for the first time in whatever many years, and it just slaps, dude. That
Dude,
movie is so good.
it's a roller coaster of emotions, dude. Like it's there's so much more like layers to it than like just what you see. Like there's subplots of like abortion and like a lot deeper like subject matter in this movie. And
Interesting.
the effects are just disgusting, dude. Like I remember like
It's
watching him like
Cronenberg, right?
throw up on, yep, watching
Yeah.
like Jeff Goldblum like throw up on the donut and eating it, or like throwing up on the dude's arm at the end, and then when he transforms into the fly, it's just like it's putrid, dude.
It falls into the category of like The Blob for me. Like
Yeah, that's
it's a
another one.
killer remake that is all like endless body horror killer remake with a few scenes that stand out to me among like the greatest ever.
Yep. Yeah,
And like
dude.
I know it like The Fly isn't really seen as like one of the greatest movies ever, or The Blob isn't seen as one of the great. They have their places, right? People love those movies, but I like especially in The Blob, like and The Fly, the scene when he pukes on the guy's hand, it just melts in front of him.
Yeah.
That scene is unbelievable.
Yeah, dude,
But
it's
like
wild.
even The Blob, when like in the hospital, that second death, when he's like he's reaching out for her and he's just melting
Yeah.
away. There are so
Yep.
many good scenes in The Blob,
Oh, I
and
know.
like I would argue that there are scenes in both those movies that really could go up hand in hand against anything ever made.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's crazy too that like the effects in these movies, they still hold up today. Like any of like the modern horror movies that are still using practical effects, like they don't touch these, I think. Um
Totally.
and this was a gateway horror movie to me in like after I saw this, I was like, man, I want more stuff like this. And it just like it led me down a rabbit hole. It led me to so many like different directors and like producers. Like I mean, this pretty much led me to Full Moon because watching this, I like wanted more body horror. I discovered Stuart Gordon and From Beyond and Reanimator and Dolls, and that took me down to like Full Moon and stuff like that. So this had a big impact on my horror career.
You know, it's funny. We both brought up Full Moon at
Yeah.
certain points during this show, and I'm thinking now, like you know, the movie The Creeps. It's with
Yep.
little dude from like Double Double Toil and Trouble, and he's in like a lot of the the movies that have little people in it,
Yep.
and my buddy and I, Dale, in fourth grade, we rented The Creeps. It was a full moon. We had no idea what it was about, what was happening. We
Mhm.
rented it, and like I remember not loving it, but it's funny how like those full moon was such a big part of my childhood. You know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Great pick, man. So
Yeah, dude.
Gremlins and The Fly, body
This
horror
is
for sure.
this is another one that's like infinitely rewatchable for me too. Like it just never gets old. It's also one of my wife's favorites too. So
It's
love
funny.
watching this one.
It's funny. Like The Fly is a movie that obviously we adore, but like to a non-horror fan, it's like the grossest thing they've ever seen in their life. I
Oh
I,
yeah.
I watch it with I had a roommate at the time, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna put on The Fly. You want to watch it? He's like, sure. And he was like, "What am I watching right now? Like, this is the most heinous and vile thing I've ever witnessed."
Yeah.
And we still talk about it to this day. He couldn't do it. It was like too much for him.
Man, the ending is just so sad too. Like
Yes,
she has to kill him and blows his head off with a shotgun, dude. Like it's wild. And her acting in that scene like is so like emotional that you can just feel it like in your soul when she does that. It's crazy.
I'm getting like chills thinking about it because
Yeah.
it's such a powerful movie.
Yeah.
All right, excellent picks. So we got Gremlins and David Cronenberg's remake of The Fly from
Yep.
Jordan. Um, and my first pick was Troll 2. And so my
Classic.
next pick, I just there were so many on here. I don't know if you felt the same way, dude.
Oh
But
yeah.
like, I really had a hard time narrowing it down. And you know what? I would love to do another show, another Gateway horror movie show. Maybe bring on a guest for it.
Oh
And
yeah, dude.
kind of talk
Like
more.
I literally walked over to my movie shelf and I was just like pulling them out and I'm like, man, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. So yeah, I it was tough for me to narrow it down to two.
100%. And like, I feel like it's such a topic that so many people like not only have a lot of picks, but like it's so interesting to me to hear what got you into horror, and what those
Yeah.
movies were like. Gremlins and The Fly, it helps me understand who you are as a horror fan.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
for sure.
And I
Yep,
love that. I love that I get to understand more about you as a horror fan, and it'd be cool to learn about other people. I know and their
for sure.
stories and that kind of thing. So
Hell yeah.
anyway, so moving on to my next pick, I just like didn't feel comfortable not putting this movie like at the top of this list because it has not only shaped so much of my love of horror and what I love in horror, but it is one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's arguably the biggest reason outside of Goosebumps why I love horror movies. And that's Hocus Pocus. Plain and
Yeah,
simple.
dude.
Like I have the regular standard Blu-ray, and I have the Steelbook with Winifred's book.
That's
And
awesome.
I would probably argue that I've seen Hocus Pocus more than any other horror movie I've ever seen. Truly,
That was one of them that I chose too, dude. I had that pulled out on my shelf because I mean, it's just like watching that as a kid, dude. It's just it's amazing.
it's unbelievable, and like the Halloweenness to it, and the one liners in it, and the spookiness of it, and the fact that it's actually a scary child movie, and there's
Yeah.
actually witches that are creepy and fun and um evil. And this is my problem with the second one. Like, people are like, yeah, it was fine, it wasn't bad. No, it was not fine, it was terrible. And
Yeah.
and with all due respect to the people that liked it, the witches were soul stealing spawn of the devil in the first
Oh
one.
yeah.
Like, there's no way they were trying to suck the souls of all the children of Salem. Like,
Yep.
they were evil beings. We watched them get hung in the first one.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah, and then seeing, like, the kids in the crates, like, in their house and stuff,
yes,
dude, or in the cages, like, that's
chunks,
terrifying.
chunks. So, like, for me, like, it was just so special, and I knew the second one wasn't going to live up to the hype, but I thought it'd be okay, and it was fucking terrible. I hated the second one so
Yeah,
much.
I can
Um,
agree with you there.
and so, like, for me, Hocus Pocus was, again, being a middle grade horror author, like, just a major influence on the genre for me, what I like in the genre. Um, in my second book, The Time Watchers, there are two witches in the story that are twins, and
Mhm.
so it was so special for me. It really, I think, like, helped my shaped my love of Halloween. And trick or treating and the orange and the vibe and all of it. That's such a big role in that. And not only that, but like it was character horror. Like all three characters of the Sanderson sisters were phenomenal. And like you don't have that anymore.
I know, yeah. That movie is the embodiment of, like, the fall season, dude, like, the vibes and, like, the colors and it's amazing.
It's perfect. And so I just couldn't start this list without Hocus Pocus. I mean, it's in my top three favorite movies of all time.
Oh,
I Bette Midler with should have won an Oscar for this movie. Like I get it. It's a children's movie and it actually didn't hit at the box office, but
yeah.
her acting is perfection. It's
Oh, yeah,
perfection. Like she no one else in the world could have made that movie into anything.
definitely.
So it's Hocus Pocus. That's my second gateway horror movies, and my second gateway horror movie. And I think we're in the same boat here, where like this is an endless topic, right? I
Yep.
think there's so many more that we could choose. So before we go, I have one more question for you, Jordan, that I want to ask you. I was thinking about it earlier. We talked about horror memories. We talked about memories from our childhood and some of the things we remember earliest about our childhood, watching horror and those gateway moments. But is there a horror movie, right? It could be a gateway horror movie, or maybe you don't really consider it a gateway horror movie, but it has to be in this category. That you like watched when you were younger, that you feel like you just watched all the time, like you couldn't stop watching it. Like it was just one of those movies that like you watched it like every day or on the regular, every season, whatever it was. Like, is there a movie like that for you?
Oh, yeah, dude. You already know, it's Ernest Scared Stupid,
Oh hell yeah!
obviously. That one, I destroyed my VHS tape of that when I was a kid.
Do you still have your
Um,
VHS tape?
nope. I wanna get one though, because I love that poster art on it. It's so iconic.
Same.
But, like, what like, my favorite, like, in particular part of that movie is, like, the beginning where he's going through all the different, like, monster, like, B movies and stuff. I used to repeat that over and over again, and just I love that stuff. It's an amazing movie, but that part is just amazing watching, like, him go through all those, like, creepy, like, movies and stuff. It's awesome.
Again, like character horror, right? Like
Yeah.
Ernest P. Worrell was a great character. Trantor was a great villain. Like it was just different, It just was
Yeah.
different. Um, and it was okay to scare kids, and that was such for me. A lot of the gateways fall under that.
Yeah, I have another one too that comes to mind that's not, I mean, it's kind of horror-esque, but it's not, like, categorized as a horror movie, but the original Spawn from, 1997.
Michael
Um,
White or my what? Jai, what was his name? Michael Jaleel White,
yep.
something
I'm
like
pretty
that.
sure you're right. Yep, so that,
And
dude,
Emilio
John John
John
Leguizamo,
Leguizamo. Yeah, yeah,
yep,
yeah.
as the clown. Yep, Michael J. White, that's
Michael
it.
J. White. That was his name.
Yep, but dude, like, I watched that movie so much, and, like, the CGI in it is so bad, but it's so charming, and, like, seeing, like, the Violator in hell and stuff, it's crazy, dude. But I remember watching that a ton.
Yeah, it's funny. I love that movie too, man. I'm glad you brought that
Yeah,
up. And I'm a comic house, so my dad wrote comics growing up,
that's
so
awesome.
I was all into that. And like I would read like Evil Ernie as a kid. You know Evil Ernie?
Yep,
So
yep,
I was like all about Spawn and Evil Ernie. Like when I
that's
first got into
awesome.
comics, Evil Ernie was like a big deal. My dad would buy me all the comics all the time. I never really thought about that as gateway horror, but that's true. That
Yeah,
those
I mean
comics,
I mean,
Spawn,
it
Evil
is.
Ernie. Um,
Yeah, dude. I actually still have, I think, the first 26 issues of Spawn from
oh,
when I was a
sick.
kid,
That's really
but
sick.
yeah, dude, I love Spawn.
Um, So yeah, Spawn, great pick. So for me, like I remember so much, and it's definitely one of the gateway horror movies for me. But Scream, okay, Scream
Yeah.
came out in '96. Now I knew I liked horror because I watched a lot of horror as a kid, and I had these moments, etc. But Scream for me was the movie that like I was like I need more of this. Like I loved Hocus Pocus growing up. I loved Troll 2 and a lot of other gateways. But like Scream for me was a movie where it's like, this is something I want more of, you know? And like I was such a gateway for me in the sense that I watched it. I remember I worked at a summer camp. I was probably 14 years old. I don't know, maybe 15 or whatever. And I would come home every single day, and I had the VHS. My parents would still be at work. My sister was in her room doing whatever, I don't know. And I would just go into my parents' bedroom, and I'd have the same VHS. I'd pop in the VHS player every single day, and I'm like, I love it. Like I love I love all the horror, all the comedy. That to me was like the epitome of like as I was changing like what I wanted to be watching,
Yeah.
and that was big for me. So
That's a classic, dude. I mean, that could be one of the ones that made me want to like watch more slasher movies, you know? Because
you know,
it's so good.
it's so good, man. You know what I think is also interesting, and I want to do a video on this. Maybe we'll team up for it. But I just watched and then we'll wrap up. I just watched Elm Street. I'm trying to blank here. New Nightmare.
New Nightmare. Yep.
Um, when was the time you watched New Nightmare?
It's probably been 2 or 3 years, I'd say, at least.
So I love New Nightmare. It's one of my favorite
Yeah.
Elm Street films, if not my favorite. I
It's
think
up
I
there
don't
for
love
me.
Freddy's design in it, but I think that the movie itself is one of my favorites. And for this reason, like we love Scream, and Scream changed the entire genre, which is cool. But it didn't start with Scream. Wes Craven's meta didn't start with Scream. It started with New Nightmare.
Yep.
Like New Nightmare was a movie within a movie, and it was
Yep.
the meta that he was trying to do with Scream, but it just didn't hit for fans like Scream did. And maybe Scream,
Yep.
since Scream was the beginning of a franchise, it hit a lot harder, and it was a new character, fresh start. But New Nightmare was Heather Langenkamp starred as Heather Langenkamp.
Yep.
And so it was about a new Nightmare on Elm Street script that she didn't want to do because she had a kid, and
Yep.
the pitfalls that came with bringing Freddy's name back into the mix, and the scares that were starting to happen with people around, and that was kind of generating Freddy back to life. And I couldn't help but think, yes, it's Wes Craven, so I mean it has Scream's imprint all over it, but it was made before Scream, right? And so
Yeah.
several years before Scream. So New Nightmare to me like was actually the start of Craven's like whole meta, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that
So
that movie is like way ahead of its time
hundred
too.
percent.
I need to rewatch it, but I remember it being one of my favorites as well. And
It's
Heather
awesome, dude.
Langenkamp in that movie, she's a
Yeah, oh,
babe in that movie,
she's
dude.
she's a babe. If she were a president, she'd be Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, yeah, she'd be Abraham Lincoln for sure.
Anyway, listen, appreciate you guys hanging out. Jordan and I are out for the night. Listen, guys, we are thankful for you guys. Jordan and I are really trying to do this as much as we can. Jordan's working on launching his own channel, so we'll definitely get those socials posted when he's ready. But we're gonna keep pumping out the videos for you guys. We're almost at 200 subscribers. So let's get there. Hit that like button. We appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful Saturday night, and we'll catch you guys later.
Peace.